comes the bottle, you the teapot. Now water can flow or it can crash. Be water, my friend.
Oh, that's fucking incredible, man.
And he's beating him almost effortlessly, by the way. Not even two slaves can handle him.
You see that way he goes back with his foot?
Talcott, I can barely get off this couch, but I fashioned myself the Bruce Lee of broadcasting. Right? Like, not even two slaves can parry with me back and forth.
The case could be made.
I find an easier way to light a cigarette.
That's just mind blowing.
He's maybe the only man that was completely mind, body, and spirit.
To be clear, he's got a striker on the end of that nunchuck, and he's throwing matches at him, and he's lighting them in the air. Yeah.
Using control of both time and space.
Well, again, it goes back to control of the inner space, control of the outer space, right?
Yep.
Absolutely.
So the being who controls his inner space supremely has control of the outer space elements, at least to a higher degree than the average slave, you would say.
That man had it.
All the time people come up and say, hey, Bruce, are you really that good? I said, well, if I tell you I'm good, probably you will say I'm boasting. But if I tell you I'm no good, you know I'm lying.
Brings back memories, dude. Brings back a lot of memories.
And what a coinkydink. Maybe that's what we should do. Wait a minute. Comment. Invention, fabrication, fiction, meaning it's a lie. See, we're already lying.
Well, that's why they say I'm egoic when I'm confident in my ability in certain areas and I speak that. They go, why aren't you downing? Well, the Tao says, watch how you belittle your faults, right? Your wrongdoings. The jug fills drop by drop. Watch how you belittle your virtue. The jug fills drop by drop. It's a neutral space of non-ego. There is no arrogance. I'm confident and competent in certain areas, and I speak that. If I spoke anything else, it would be dishonest ego because it would be a form of manipulation. So every time you meet somebody, that's how I get them right from the bat. They don't get how. With your polite kindness, because you just said that you were somebody, and then you went to downplay who and what you are when you know you're good. So if you say you're not good, they know you're lying. If you upplay yourself and say you're the best, they know you're lying, right? Just be yourself, know your strengths, know your weaknesses, and speak it as it is. Then you'll get the fun of everyone telling you one side you're egoic and arrogant, and one side telling you you're downplaying it. No, I'm speaking it as it is. Right? This is another projection game. So I always love that. It's like, hey, bro, you don't get it. This is not ego. I'm confident in certain things that I do for me. Right? If I downplayed that, I'd be lying. If I said I was the best, I'd be lying.
You think Bruce Lee gave up on any of his principles being involved in the Hollywood scene? Or you think that's why he died?
Yeah, I think that I tend to believe most of these people in these kind of circumstances are killed because of what they represent. They're too powerful because the being was also loving, right? It's much like I see with myself, right? I never knew that I was as loving as I am, but my father said I've always been good with children. Like as a child, I always wanted to care for even the younger children. I didn't fight with them. I would just care for them. So it was in me. I just didn't know it and had to be reawakened. When you reawaken all these aspects of self, and you remember, so to speak. The word is remember, right? Remember. There's a bunch of parts of us all over. We have to remember that, right? This is a member. This is a member. We got to put ourselves back together. We have to remember ourselves as a whole being. So what more of a threat to their slave system than a loving, caring man who's also very dangerous when he needs to be and also very measured and calm and peaceful and response able and account able. That's it. You're their fucking biggest enemy, man, because you won't buck up to them and do the violence so they can set you up to be the evil guy, right? But you won't take no shit from them either and allow them to walk all over you and use you, right? And now if you're out inspiring others to become that, they got to get rid of you. Right. With the display like he just showed, and then going into that interview where he's talking philosophy with a loving, caring energy, he is the threat to the shaitan. That's made in the image of the Most High, right? That's why I say, bro, I only have a couple areas left, not complete completion. I don't know what that is. How could I know that? That would be ego bullshit. I don't know what complete completion is. I know what more complete is. So when I get my body together, right, and I really like step into that more and more, that is what that is. You could call it feeling like the man or just a man. Most men don't really feel like even a man, let alone the man. And I don't mean that from an egoic position. I mean, you are the man in somebody's life. Like you call a certain set of people, they're going to say in Wizard and mine and other certain people's life, they're going to say, that's the man. You just have to ask for what, right? So, and then you'll get an answer there too of who and what everybody is, right? That's the man for what? Killing, murdering? Oh, no. That's the man for loving, caring, wisdom, and understanding that he's applied through a journey and can help others with. A leader in the community. Oh, wow. Right? So that's what they don't want is leaders in these communities within self first. That's why they love this metaversal shit. They love laughing at everybody. You ain't fucking real leaders in the community. If you were, you wouldn't even be here. And if you did, you come here with so much fucking passion and energy and co-creation. You blow these fucking people out of the water. They got to start shadow banning you and all the rest of it. Never seen, heard, or felt nothing like it, at least in the last few years. Right? At worst. At best, I had a motherfucking reverend who couldn't even get down the hallway. He was 95 years old. He goes, bro, I've never really seen anything like you. He didn't say, bro. That's just my cultural, colloquial affect. That's like we're hanging out, right? And hey, bro. So, yeah. I didn't know how to receive that at the time. I'm like, I'm here for heroin. I'm court mandated here. I'm like, now, wait a second. You're telling me there's something special about me. That's a wild thought. I go, how could that be true? I'm here, court mandated for heroin. I didn't have a mama. I'm destroying my life. He goes, no, you don't understand. You have coin of the realm, right? You have the currency of the realm. You got the vision. He's just like me at this point. I didn't know at that time, but now as I move through this journey, I'm becoming more like him, where he could just look at somebody, ask him 5 questions and go, oh, yeah, this guy's on it. He's going to be a mover and a shaker somewhere. We just got to focus him and apply him. So what did he tell me to do? Go start a ministry? I didn't do none of that. Right. We had such a a connection and understanding when and how it started was he came out the first day. I said, oh, here we go, a fucking religious nut. I ain't listening to a motherfucking thing he had to say till he came out, old man, and started talking about how kind of attractive the young women were, kind of being flippant, you know, and then he started talking about how, hey, you want to do heroin? You got the right to do that. Go die in the gutter, right? And I said, you know what? This is a real motherfucker, right? So then we got to talking. And I realized, you know, not everybody who calls himself a reverend or a preacher or a priest acts like these overly self-righteous, pious scum. These are real motherfuckers, some of them, right? So, you know, he told me, go start a ministry. This is what you're called to do, right? So here we are now, right? Same kind of deal. So even though I never did what he told me to do and start what he told me to start, that I was meant to start, it happened anyway. It's just called this broadcast. It's a form of ministry, right? As I see it. So again, what's in the program and the plan and in the purpose and on the journey is meant for you. You just got to step into it some way, somehow, right? I mean, this thing might be sending you 3, 4, 5 different outfits to step into to walk in this purpose. And we don't want to put any one of them on, you know, because we're so used to looking at everybody else who puts that outfit on and seeing that they're a corrupt piece of garbage. Well, that's not how that works. That's how you get everyone to stay like that. You got to put their outfits on and be the sheriff you were supposed to be the fucking representative you were supposed to be the minister you were supposed to be, right? See, we don't even respect the costume anymore because we don't respect the man inside. Right? If we would fucking step into these positions and replace these motherfuckers because we care about ourselves and the system we're a part of that they all want to tear down. They all want to get you. How about you replace these motherfuckers? Try that on some level. How about the lowest level? Forget about government. Just do it on the lowest level. Boy, would the world change, right? You could sit back in their cars and eat donuts and not enforce the policy and code because you got officer discretion. And if you surrender, what happens? You might be gone in 3 years, but you did what you were supposed to do, right? You rode around, you made connections with people in the community. Folks want to breach the peace and do harm. You show the fuck up and do what the fuck needs to be done, right? It's usually pretty clear what needs to be done in those situations. If you have self-awareness, that's a huge if. But again, they don't want to do that. They don't want to do the real work. I'll never be policy enforcement. Right. So you'll ensure all this scum will continue to be there. Great logic. We're going to tear it down. No, you ain't. They're going to whoop you. So where are we going with this? Right. Sometimes they say if you can't beat them, join them. I didn't tell you to join nothing. Right. Except remember who and what you are and then replace these motherfuckers. Celebrities, entertainers, newscasters, policy enforcement, sheriffs. This way, we're not belligerent combatants. We could just think we all could do this fucking job better than you can. And we have some results to go with that. So think of how much it could change this overnight if we would take that attitude, right?
Paul, I want to mention something that you just said about the suit or the costume and the people not filling the role that it represents or it symbolizes. And this goes back to the thing of people only judging the superficial aspects of what they see and not the substance. And because of that, you've seen this progression towards an acceptance of authority just because of a costume, an irrational attitude towards authority, I'll say. And that you see it permeate throughout various things. It's almost like a fractal of that. That being said, another thing is that the only way you're going to hit a match lit while it's flying through the air with nunchucks, if you spend at least 10,000 hours, let's say, with your nunchucks, at least. So when people look at this, say, oh, he's amazing, they don't see that he just spent extraordinary amounts of time just fucking with those nunchucks endlessly, hours and hours at a time, right? So he knows everything about him. He knows them so inside out, he's bored of them. And that's where he gets to the point. It's like, what else can I do with this thing? I'm just so freaking, there's nothing left to do. And he starts inventing things to do with it because he's acquired such a level of skill from his time invested, his own exertions.
Oh, but that's the thing. This is a society of quantity everywhere you go, not quality. Don't you remember the stories of how men used to be, right? Have multiple wives, give birth to like 15 children, start a whole town, train one motherfucker to be doctor, train one to be banker, train one to be this and that. By the time Grandpappy was old, he created a whole town and a whole future just from his dick. and his mind and heart, right? That's where we're at, from his genetic information on all levels and his bodily form. Are you kidding me? If we were really empowered and inspired and threw the fear away, right? Live without fear, since Jack is here, I'll plug it. If we really threw that shit away, easier said than done, because I'm scared of shit of putting my dick in anybody and having a child. I am. Folks I love, I don't even want to have sex like that. I'm so scared, right? But if we could really like embody this community and village thing and come together, as they always say, you could give birth to a whole fucking new civilization like within 20 years, right? 40 years, whatever it is. But folks don't think long game like that. They don't think how to plant trees that they may never sit under. Right? That's one of the proverbs. Plant the trees that you'll never have the opportunity to sit under. They don't think like that. They go to Home Depot to get a tree that's already grown, then go sit under it.
Yeah, the fruits of our labor are hard. You know, they're acquired with our skill and our exertion. And when people want to bypass that and shortcut it, that's what you're seeing, is that everybody's looking for an easy way to get around it. Everyone wants to say, how do I do this? Or how do I do that? And I like, why is it this? And what ways can I do to get what I should be doing? It's, you know, that's again, the superficiality of an attitude that's irrational as far as goals or successes oriented in anything. And I find it.
Yeah, well,
curious.
women used to want children, right? So like motherfucker like me wouldn't have been a problem. 4 women go, we ain't got shit out here and our daddies ain't shit. What are you going to do and create? Watch this, right? Next thing you know, like over the course of 10, 20 years, they go, holy shit, Paulie Boy created a whole fucking civilization like that. I can't get that idea out of my head lately. But I went and studied a few of these fucking people and their cultures, and this is what they were up to. Strong fucking men who knew themselves and knew this creation on some level, at least the basics, simple men, right, who were also loving and caring, but honorable. Right. And women would just, it would be automatic. They just get in line. What does get in line mean, Paulie? It's not what you think it means. It means everyone has a role and a position, and it just works. When you are who and what you need to be, and you don't have a mind full of nonsense, it just works. So it wouldn't be a problem, because you're going to say, we want children. You're going to give us children and train them how to be this and come forth and be leaders in the community and change this motherfucker. Let's get at it. Let's make some babies. They're not sitting there competing over the little they think they have that someone else owns. Are you kidding me? But this is what it's like when you're a spoiled bitch, rather than motherfuckers who come up out of the dirt with nothing. They don't have time to be egoic and divide and complain and create excess problems, right? They just do the next right thing and what makes sense.
You just made me realize something, Paul, is that the aspect of the low sibling rates and broken families means there's a lack of competence within the family, because sibling rivalry is usually healthy as far as building up, you know, a good competence, and you get over the bullshit early on, so you don't start causing loss, injury, and harm, you know, outside the family where you have a father to keep everyone in line. I find that, you know, from my generation, having 5, 6, 7, 8, 12 kids wasn't a big deal. Wasn't a big deal to
Why
raise
do you
a family.
think the masters run everything? Because they have such big families, like intergenerational, you know, long game type idea families, where they go and they're twisted the other way, where they're like, we're going to like almost trauma cult you into falling into some role, right? We're going to like, you know, that's that other side of it. But you could see there's always a pendulum swing from just a lost slave who, you know, never hands down wealth, never plants trees they're not going to sit under, versus folks who are on a 20, 40-year timeline, right? And they're like, we're about to have these 5 children. This one's going to be a banker, doctor, blah, 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 judge, and we're going to put them all in position, and they're going to run the world, right? From an egoic standpoint. They don't come from that other side, right? The godly, righteous standpoint, where I didn't say that your title makes the man, right? These are going to be leaders and honorable men and women as men and women. Whatever they're going to choose to do, they're going to succeed at, and they're going to influence others in the field, as the Axis Rat Blood fellow says, influence the field. So that's it. That's the program and plan. They just whacked off. Sorry, not the right term for this scenario. They just killed a whole bunch of millions of slaves, right? Like they always do, for different ways that they do it. So you don't think the creation is like fucking just pulsing, right? On an energetic level going, you all need to get together now and start building something and fucking to bring about the next generation. I know I'm being crude and lewd by saying that. I'm doing it kind of purposely, right? But you get what I'm saying, right? We need to almost embody more of that sort of primal nature, because that's what nature wants from us right now, especially with the dynamic going on. You have a whole section of the species being corrupted and destroyed, like at all times. It's just greater levels. You don't think nature is causing these women to be a certain way right now? I'm seeing it, and it's the light too. It's the seasons. It's a bunch of, it's cycles within cycles, right? Cycles within cycles. So yeah, the light comes out, they start feeling that heat, you get a little sweaty, right? Them hormones activate, that serotonin, that dopamine, they want to fuck. They look around, they see the genocide and slavery, they see the destroyed family dynamic, they see monogamy's not working, and suddenly they go, this polyamory thing sounds like it might lead to something, and the women have that intuition to kind of put their ego aside. Right? I had 2, 3, 4 of them up here the other day. It wasn't for my ego. I mean, hey, it was nice coming from where I come from, jerking off till I was 26 and never kissing a woman. So it's nice now to feel valued by women and attractive to women. But I did it to prove a point, right? You all keep telling me what I think I know, don't know. It's a belief, this and that. I'm showing it to you on every level. You got women who even said, we wouldn't have thought even this way before. And now that we've seen all this and experienced here, we're open to it. There's where your power is. All you ego tripping chimpanzees who want to fuck every woman and also lie and cheat. How powerful if you could be so attractive and honorable that their ego moves right out of the way and you don't have to lie and cheat. So you could just live your truth. Ask my daddy about how that's going with him. He still can't live his truth. Wonder why he is the way he is. I tell him, bro, you got a son half your age who's already living your dream. I tell women exactly who and what I am, and they're still with it. You want to point to something. I'm successful. Great. So you're going to attract a bunch of gold diggers. I don't do that. Right? The women in my life want me for me. They want to be in my life for me. They're willing to share me because they love me and they know I love and care about them and where the fuck we're going. They can't say the same for and with you. That's not an ego trip. That's an understanding that you lack, that I have at this point to some degree. And your inability to understand that is your undoing and disempowerment. It's part of your ego trip, right? It's part of that guilt, resentment, spirit of your mama because your father died young and all the rest of it. I've been over and over again with all of you. Raised by women, acting like women, not coming forth and standing true like men, not honoring your masculine nature because that mama got to you early and told you, you got to treat all women like queens. You got to give up your purpose and meaning to make them happy. Happy wife, happy life. That's how I get a 60-year-old fat slob at the comedy club laughing and giggling with his wife who they're best friends, but they hate each other because they've never really gone deeper with that connection and understanding of self and what a man and woman is. So they all sit at the comedy club and drink and giggle when the comedian like me points out the obvious that no one's talking about. They all giggle. Ha ha ha. And then they ride home and ask each other, like the woman will ask at some point, is that true? Or she already knows because you've been together so long. She already knows, but they don't really want to talk about it. Right? All that other stuff that everybody knows that we don't want to talk about, usually the sexual shit, right? I find in these relationships, the quicker a man gets down to honoring who and what he is, frees himself up, frees that woman up, she's going to stay or go. If you can get her out of her ego, you're going to be friends for life. Because that's a true bond and a trust and understanding. If she can know who and what you are and you're being real and you're not lying and cheating and you're not dishonoring yourself to make her happy, she's going to respect you and she's going to want you to be happy. And if not, she doesn't belong there, right? And if she doesn't feel that way, she knows it's true but doesn't feel that way, there's a way to lead her back to herself with the understanding where she can free up her ego and her anxiety and insecurity because it comes from her daddy. Daddy that told her she was stupid, didn't pay attention to her like they paid attention to the boys. Because in their world, women are only good for one thing, being pretty and fucking. Right? Tell me where I'm wrong. So you don't think these daddies spend more time with their son out and about on the field because they're boys and neglect the woman? And the woman comes to know that she only really has one value, being pretty and desirable and fucking because she never seen any real connection from the daddy? Right. So that's why these women are in an ego twist. Because you get these overly loving, like codependent males who they don't respect, or these like disconnected, controlling, dominating males that they don't respect. And there's a middle ground again, like always. Because I've been one and I've been the other. So I know what it's like to hit a middle ground on that. I'm speaking from experience. I've been simped out and pimped out and lied to and cheated on, and all because a lot of it, I wasn't the man I needed to be. She was going to do that anyway because she did it with every other man. It wasn't special to me. It was part of her daddy issues because daddy wasn't there. See how we all find each other? Mama wasn't there. Daddy wasn't there. In order to learn, right? We always attract who and what we are, and or folks who are in need of who and what we are. So it was a little bit of both with that, because I was giving her some good spiritual game along the way. I just wasn't living it on any level. So I helped save her life and her family's life, but I wasn't being who and what I needed to be. And she lost faith in me, right? Because woman can't go to work all day, come home and see you still sitting in the same spot year after year. It's not going to work, right? Not producing nothing. The money you got, you're not spending. She's spending her money. Oh, no. No. And I was chimping ain't easy, so I thought, right? I don't do nothing. She goes out, she works, she bring the money home to me. I manage the money. Right. And then she's going to meet that work husband one day, right? Who is doing something, who's bonding with her because they're in the same place, who's got his own money, who ain't afraid to spend it because he's not an insecure, unproductive little bitch who hoards everything, right? So it's only a matter of time. The thing is, do you have the understanding? Because that shit could have broke me. It did for a little bit till I saw the game and got with the thread and, followed it. I said, oh, this is all for my own good, right? And we see the result, right? Years later, she was back at this broadcast, still following me, seeing what I'm doing, because she knew I was meant to do something. Just we didn't know what, right? And it wasn't happening. So, a lot of times a woman will love a man, not even say nothing for so long, even more than he loves himself, right? And then the man will go to bitching. Why are these bitches all like that? What do you expect them to do? Come home every day? Or be there every day with you being like how you are and just think that they're going to stay there forever? You take them for granted, right? You fucking use them. You abuse them. You neglect them. You don't lead them. The fuck? This is that snafu shit I was telling them one day, that men go in your own way. So you're just angry and bitter men because these women cheat on you or don't tell you the whole truth because they know you're a punk ass bitch and can't tell you the truth, or they can't communicate it. It's more of a feeling for them, right? So you're forced to go your own way because you can't live with women and can't live without them. Same thing goes for them. They can't live with you and can't live without you. They love you. They want to be with you, but they'll let you go in a second because they've been with you long enough to know you ain't going nowhere, right? You know it, they know it, and just something don't feel right. It's not as attractive as it once was. You got to hit that archetypal. That's the thing. You can't get away from yourself and the supernatural, right? As a man, I don't think a man can carry out a relationship with a woman forever, one woman or multiple women, if he's not the man he needs to be in a lot of these areas. It's just they're going to lose that feeling, right? Woman, it's going to happen with the woman even, right? It might even happen first. It's just that spark is gone. Just doesn't feel right to her. It's just kind of looking different, acting different. Then you go to acting different, right? Because she can't communicate it, but somewhere in her beingness, she knows this motherfucker's not who and what he needs to be. I don't trust him. I can't rely on him in some areas, or he's a punk ass coward who, when the time comes to stand and fight, he's going to run, or he's going to put me in front of him, right? They know inherently, innately, just like I do, so that's where that shit comes from. It's just an inherent disrespect because you're not entitled to respect. This is what I'm telling everyone that I'm seeing about this simulation dynamic. It's just like the chimpanzees. You get what comes to the one who is the one he needs to be. So he gets the title of alpha. He doesn't call himself that. The people call him that because they trust him. He's responsible. He's accountable. He's controlled. He's measured. He's powerful. All when needed to be. That's competence. That's competence. Right? These beta boys are so... let's not get into it. Jack Talcott just came back on camera. I want to hear from Jack. I don't want to continue to ramble and rant. It's not about me. Okay?
Untrue. It's all about you. I love you, brother. Fucking A. You get on a roll and it just flows from you and through you, and I get that.
It sure does.
You said a lot of things. And I can build on that or I can take it a different direction, but it's up to you, man.
No, it's not. It's up to you, sir. I have no coordinates here. I have
All
no...
right. You're right. You're right. I stand corrected, man. Hey, I changed my goals. Okay, I may as well announce it here because you've allowed me to say some crazy shit. Changed my goals. I realize the UN is maybe just another step, right? I've been listening to some stuff on the fourth industrial revolution, right? Klaus Schwab, his book. That fucker's actually pretty smart. He's
I
asking
swear to God, Talcott, if you tell me you're going to email Klaus Schwab, I'm going to throw you right out of here. You're not going to have the balls to, like, I thought. See, this is where, like, I swear it's like a movie. Talcott comes in after months, and I go, oh my God, it's happening. He goes, I've changed my goals. I think they're a little unrealistic. The UN's just a stepping stone. I'm going to the top. Klaus Schwab. I go, how the fuck did you come to this?
Yeah, talk about cringe. Yeah.
Well, yeah. Hey, the World Economic Forum, they are the ones who are really pulling the fucking strings. And actually, they're probably puppets as well.
So you're going to
Jack,
go to the beta
Jack,
male bitches.
Jack, it's a spiritual dynamic. They're avatared by this state of consciousness that we're talking about, Shaitan. They're all the same. They have the same thoughts, the same feelings, the same reactive space, the same false solutions for everything. They're women, they're children, society, same being.
Right.
So you're going to go to like one set of beings who's the same being, another set of beings who's the same being, and then try to convince them to throw away their whole life of beingness that they think is working for them so well. You're coming there to pretty much ask them to stop doing it because they're so powerful in their ego. They're going to laugh at you.
Right. They may, but here's the thing. What you're saying is absolute. Here, I went to church this morning.
I don't think they're going to laugh at him. I think they're going to grab him and give him a nice little shoulder hug, walk him into the room, sit him down, and convince him, and he's going to end up in the right place.
Oh, okay. So you're going the other way. Talcott's going to become part of the World Economic Forum. Yeah, I
tell
can
you
see
what.
that.
Let me present the case. Let me present the case. Okay?
He's going to be like Sadhguru.
They're going to make Jack their president.
No.
Yeah.
Here, the thing I watched a Truth Unedited is another YouTube channel that I follow. He does some pretty cool stuff from a Christian ministry. And he also reports on current affairs. And he did a great presentation on the fourth industrial revolution and the maneuvering that's happening right now against the US dollar. Well, I've been really trying to figure out my role, and I texted Moose this earlier, Paul. Maybe you're one of the first of my steps, okay? Because I figured it out. I'm here. We are all influencers. We're influencers of the time and space that we are, but we influence the world. And there's some people who have risen to places of influence that I want to influence. So I want to have Klaus Schwab.
You see?
Bugs.
Now you got this guy looking at me, right? Now I got Klaus watching me now, like ready to decide to bring the hammer down. I don't need this kind of drama, Talcott. You know, you all want to like do big things in life and achieve something. And I don't think this is it. You're going to get Klaus Schwab pissed off at you and me, and he's going to fucking drone strike this trailer. Okay. Stay away from these people and just create. Stay in your lane. Do what's true and what's right. Equally yoke yourself to folks who have the same understanding of eternal truth. And go away from me. I never knew you, Klaus, and the rest of them. Have your slavery and destroy yourselves with each other. The meek shall inherit the earth. I'm humble with humility before God and the truth. That is the meek. Meek is not weak and silent people. Meek is humble with humility before God and the truth. I don't need big things and great success and talking to the influencers who think I have no influence. I'm being influenced by the most powerful force in this realm, just like they're being influenced by the second most powerful force in this realm.
Amen.
All by design. My job is to not let them come out of it. My job is to let them express so authentically, it convinces everyone to come out of it.
Well, that's happening, brother. That is happening. But here, the sermon at church this morning was a story of Saul becoming Paul, whatever. You know, used to be the persecutor of the Christians, persecutors of those who followed the way. And then he became like one of the great messengers. Paul, I think that could be, I think that's what God's doing with us in some way. I do believe God's with our purpose, with these.
I told you that, Jack. I told you that we're walking the same walk as we all are. I think that we resonate a little bit closer on where we need to be in certain areas. I think in other areas, the focus is a little bit off. That's all I've told you. If your focus is off a little bit, you missed the shot by a mile, right? If you can imagine taking a shot, right, 1,000 yards, you're off by an inch, you're off by a mile. So that's all I'm telling you is that it's a thin line between genius and influence and insanity. So when I call you insane, you don't take that personally. You understand from my perspective that it's just one little flip of the dial in focus to where we're on it and we're where we need to be and we're flowing and we feel it and we see the results and it's self-evident. And then you better hope that you're ready for the teachers and testers that are really going to come, the real challenges. Because if you think you're going to get in a room with a bunch of evil scum and they're not going to like hammer your hand to the table to see if you're really about it, it might be the case, right? They want to see that you're really about it. That's the only way they know how. Hammer his fucking hand to the table, talking all that cupcake shit. You put your hand out and get it hammered to the table, they're riding maybe. But if you can't show that ability in those moments, they don't want to listen to you. These are folks who are cutting people's heads off. They ain't going to listen to you until you show them something.
Well, here's the thing. All we need is the opportunity for me to succeed or fail. The moment. Here, I'm going to go as far as I can. These are the end goals, right? Because that book, what I saw of that book, The Fourth Industrial Revolution, it is what we're dealing with right now. Science and technology is at the point where genetic mutations and shit like that, we can either follow God's path of purity or we are going to be diverted and influenced by what we do not want to be influenced by. And so here's the thing. Those people in those positions, they're observing the right questions. What do we do? What is the solution? Well, they've come to the wrong conclusions. And so I want to offer them what you said too, Paul. You're a little bit off and you fucking we've got people in positions of great influence making decisions and they're off. We can bring them straight into what is true, and what is true, common law, the natural way. God's
Listen,
law.
I leave it open. I'll meet you in the middle, as I try to do with most folks. I leave it open, right? I've seen some amazing things in my time with a few people, right? Policy enforcement, working 20 years, the haircut, the whole deal, angry. Within 2 weeks, almost crying in front of me on the court steps saying, I need more of this understanding because I knew I wanted to do good things. I didn't know what that was. And now I want to serve and I'm ready. Like the head of a courthouse telling me that in the costume and everything, saying, when you come here from now on, you're going to be sure I'm going to have these motherfuckers serve you. That fucking like, wow, that's better than he hit a dope and cocaine and whatever the fuck else you think you're going to do. Right? Like when a woman tells you, I'm riding with you, you're the realest one I've ever met, that'll do something to you. When you see another man twice your age who's been running Shaitan's fucking lot there, right? A whole courthouse with a fucking chamber in it that they're locking people in, they have me locked in, I could cry about it because I sat there and I told them, go ahead and take me. And then I kept talking to them. I kept talking to all of them through the jail, right? That's what this is. I'm like, hey, you're going to put me in a box now and I'm going to keep doing what I'm doing and then we're going to facilitate a change. I'm going to attempt that. So sure enough, how this force works, right? Just like it did with the gang members on the bus on Colfax who wanted to rough me up and rob me. And I just opened it up on them. all that care and love and truth and wisdom and my purpose, and they started crying right in front of me, right? Every single time with every one of these people, the lowest of the low, quote unquote. You could get to them if it's available, right? But oftentimes they do their best to keep it unavailable. Cremation of care, right? They got all sorcery and rituals and different kind of drugs to make sure that care don't ever surface in them, because that's their biggest threat to their position, is really caring about you and your walk individually. Their greatest power, they think, is seeing you all, like the Tao says. See, they use a lot of the Tao for evil. See all beings as straw dogs. Oh, they're all just straw dogs. Kill this one, kill that one, lie to this one, cheat on that one. Yeah, but it rebounds on you, right? Because you are that same self. So, yeah, man, I'll be open to it. You know, I'm open to it. I've seen the results in my own life. I've seen folks, they said, you ain't going to talk to them. What are you going to do with them? And then what am I going to do with them? Like I said on the traveling video, motherfucker, I told you what I'm going to do. The same thing I did with them. So when he told me, anytime you come to this courthouse, these other pigs in here, I'm going to talk to them and they're going to be serving you. I said, thank you, sir. I said, and I won't take that lightly. I'm not egoic about this. I will still walk in humbly with respect, and I will do my business and leave. But I'm glad that you came to an understanding here today of who and what we all are. You're a man, I'm a man. When you put that fucking costume on, you say yes, sir, to me, and what the fuck do I need? Like an airline stewardess. You don't talk down to me, but that's part of the problem. You go on a damn airplane nowadays, they'll fucking drag you off of it, the stewardesses themselves. You're not there to be served anymore. You're there to be controlled and dominated by every service position in your life. It's called public service. They're called public servants. Public service turned into public control and domination. So I go to a restaurant during this last few years, I get fucking talked down to and abused by someone flipping a hamburger. I go on a plane, I get fucking talked down to and thrown out and handed a bill for something I didn't order and do. Everywhere I go, I got public servants talking down to the man who created all this. I'm the reason this all exists. But we forgot about that, right? Better yet, how about God that works through man? We forgot about that too. That's the only reason this all exists. And a man like me. The rest of you, you're fucking placeholders and you're losing your place, right? If you're not serving something in a place of public service and you're doing control and domination, you're on the way out. Because they got robots that can control and dominate now. They might be able to train animals to do it and breed them up in a pen. They don't need you anymore because that was the one thing that made us human. We gave a fuck about ourselves and each other and our community and the service and the products that we put out. It's called a care and an ethic. Yeah, we don't have that anymore. It's all profit motivated.
Brother, it has been. Okay? It has been. But this is God's... I've humbled myself to the possibility. This is all God's purpose and plan, to allow the darkness to rise, for us to learn of it. So, while the world is shameful, I mean, it really is. What humanity has allowed itself... Shame is what keeps the voice of God away from us. That's what I learned for myself, and it was confirmed in that sermon this morning. Our shame and our guilt, our fear of God prevents us from hearing God's purpose. So they say.
I understand
Yes.
one side of that. The fear of God, quote unquote, as I interpret it, should be a fear of what you're doing and not doing and what it's going to create and not create. So if God works with you and is part of you, then that fear of God is with you because you are responsible and accountable at the end of the day. It's called judgment. So when you're sitting somewhere waiting to die, you're going to start feeling that more and more. Like I've watched them. I've observed them and what they do. And I go, oh, I know what that is. That's the thing I've been asking for this whole time. The ego checker, right? So once that ego goes away and you're facing death and beyond, then it's judgment time. Did I do what the fuck I was supposed to do or not? Yeah, you should have been living that way this whole fucking time. Should have been living that way this whole fucking time and repenting and recorrecting the record every step of the way when you did a mistake. right? So you want to act on the world stage and do a mistake? Well, time to get back to the director and do it all over again. Act 1, scene 1, take 1, go. I fucking lied and cheated. I fucking dishonored myself. I'm controlling and dominating. I'm not being the man I could be because I'm not going past my fear and being honorable and courageous. I'm looked at as a punk ass bitch by women and children. Doesn't feel good to me, any of it. What's my solution? Be the change. Take that to anywhere you go. There's many places to take it. You got to be it first. Then you could take it somewhere and do something with it. But you got to know that. It's not a belief. Belief is a choice. Knowing doesn't require a choice. So they'll say, I know who and what I am. You don't know me. I go, you don't even know you. You just have a set of beliefs. I'll break them right down right in front of you right now. Cause you to fight and run again. That's how I know I'm onto it. Every single time. Right? If you knew yourself, you'd be applying that. You'd be getting successful results. And the only other thing you'd have to do left is give testimony and bear witness. Wow, that sounds familiar.
I'm sure I'm going to screw it up, but I think there's a saying that goes, a noble man is not a man who tries to make other men better. A noble man is a man who improves the man he was yesterday.
Right. We just heard that from the Spartan Code.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry.
No, don't be sorry. I'm just saying you're on it, right? It's synchronistic. We just heard that with that. And yes, what does the Tao say? Power is controlling others. True power is mastering oneself. So these folks all want power in its like most puerile form. They want control of others and the situations. The truest power is mastering oneself, in which case the people, places, and things around you just kind of like seem to go where they need to go and be where they need to be, right? It's like you become the thing. You become the influencer, right? You don't have to claw and scrap and scrape and reach for control. What did the Taoists say? If you try to hold water, no matter how you try, it's going to slip through your fingers. You got to become the water, right? These folks, what does it say? Bend like bamboo, don't break like the oak. That's why a lot of these folks build with bamboo and not with the oak. What do the Western people do? Build with the oak and not with the bamboo, because who and what you are, you take to everything you do, even unconsciously. If you look at the way these people even build things, their consciousness shows how they live. These folks build with inferior materials because they're inferior in their consciousness. So they'll tell you, you think the bamboo is one way because of the way you think. More is better. Bigger, more, better. Ego. The way we think, that thin bamboo, so bendable and pliable, it'll withstand any storm. Right? So they look at you as a fool. Because you come from a rooted place where you're confused, and everything you see as a solution makes everything worse. Your best help is a worst effort in their culture with their understanding. If you were to go there to these places, they're little places in certain areas of the world where they study this and embody this, they tell you just go sit down in the corner like a child. Because your way of thinking, your best efforts are going to interfere with everything, including yourself. So till you learn that way, they're going to treat you like a child, right? And this is why a lot of these Westerner folks love that shit, because they come out of LA, they go over to these gurus and deal with them, and they treat them like a child. And they go, oh my God, Master so-and-so treated me like a child, and we know he's powerful, and we just can't wait. It's like a power dynamic. They're so used to being in power and control, and they know they're full of shit, that when someone actually has the power, they can't wait to kind of get dominated. It's like it's a bizarre kind of sadistic, masochistic, but honorable in a sense quality of them, because it's the part of them that knows they're full of shit and they need this in a way to check their ego. So they'll go to these places and these people say, you're a who from where? A top executive from LA? We don't care. Show us how you do this task. You're going to go to do it. They're going to go sit down in the corner, child. Because the way you think is, I want what I want when I want it. The way they think is what needs to be done in a way that works for everyone. Hello? Right? So that's where these people go over there, take the plants and herbs, live with these people, and come back transcended, right? In their beingness, just the look in their eyes, the way they do things, the way they think, these solutions they apply, the energy that's going on the whole time, just completely different. That's the true place of the guru or the shaman or the sage, right? Is to give everybody new perspective, new tools and understanding, new applications that bring everyone back to the most simplistic and truest part of themselves.
Well said, brother. There's one thing that I tend to disagree with. Well, many people tend to disagree with me in my ideas for the future is combination of the old and the new, right? We've got technologies and sciences today. Our construction could be much more efficient, much better, healthier, much wiser. And then at the same time, yeah, the knowledge of the old medicines, the natural stuff that was kind of hidden from the masses, that stuff's coming out too, as well as new discoveries that, you know.
Jack, what I love about these terms, hidden from the masses, you don't have to hide anything from the masses. They're egoic and ignore it. They don't seek truth. So everybody keeps saying, this stuff's all been kept and hidden from the masses. No, they've never gone and got it. No one hid it from me or anyone else. Just you didn't. No one cared enough to go get it the right way, right?
We didn't know it was available.
I mean, Jack, is anyone hiding seeds and like healthy diets? And is anyone hiding any of that from everyone, or are they choosing not to go get it and be it? Right?
I'm hiding it from myself sometimes.
Everyone's got this like monolithic idea of New World Order and this dastardly image. And I go, you're looking there and it's here. The slave is the reason, right? It's not everyone hiding all the good shit. It's you looking at all the bad shit.
Well, that's it. That's the conditioning part of this too. I think the ignorance and discovery is part of God's game, right? It just makes sense to me that, damn it, I lost the point I was bringing up. My mind went that way.
I love when you go, damn it.
Is that the smoke alarm? You're thinking of changing the battery in that annoying smoke alarm, Jack? Like when you go to the UN and you tell them you can't even change your battery, you have enough initiative to change a battery in your smoke alarm, they're going to look at you. What are you going to do for us if you can't even do that for yourself? Or the audience is being tortured. I have to keep looking around, see if my smoke alarm needs a battery changed.
Did you not hear me mention it earlier? Maybe I didn't. Please.
A few days ago, Jack.
You mentioned it. He's just,
yeah. Days ago,
he gets a little bit uppity, right? I can feel it in his energy.
Days ago, though, Jack. Days ago.
Actually, Tribe, here, I know you're
convicted. And not to support the thing of a wife being annoying, but if you had a companion.
Can I look for a solution? Go fuck yourself? Right.
But like, for instance, Wizard, even though he can say what he wants, but I bet his companion doesn't tolerate a smoke alarm battery not being changed for days. So you got to think about doing this for yourself. Wizard can do it for himself. I can do it for myself. Paul has fixed his thing. I'm sure John overcame.
Here's the deal. It started beeping yesterday.
Officer Talcott. Here's the
deal. I went to go get my tall ladder because it's a vaulted ceiling. It's pretty high up there and uncomfortable.
I don't want the procedure, Jack. Just do it. Just do it. Do it now on video so we can watch you do it like we watch Ryan O'Shea work.
Thanks to slaves and this fucking materialistic mindset, my
victimizing again.
Stolen, and I just discovered that yesterday. So here's the beauty. I can go spend $100+ to go buy a ladder, or wait till Monday when the property manager is back in their schedule, so that I can see what rights I can exercise as a tenant. So it's kind of a fun game I'm playing, and it's part of my life. So I'm sorry
excuse me, I gotta go regurgitate again. Excuse me.
Oh no.
I love you, Tribe. Golly geez, man. Hey, Paul, the thing is, I've been wrapping my head around what we are. And all this really is these are not my words. It's from others, and you know it. This is like a cosmic light show. that it's an eternal dream that God's allowing to happen. And it's like souls can enter whenever and wherever they want, maybe. And all we are is just the essence of life. And we're here to learn and discover. And you said a word, the straw man. We're all like, well, we're all just all things. It's fucking crazy. But I've learned how to just give it up and just be me right now. Because if this is real, man, we are part of something big, and it's called history.
You know what, Talcott? I'm going to take this in a completely different direction. I was thinking last night, Mr. Tribe, how close can we get to the line of riding the beast system line? Because you brought up to me you want to do some casino game. And, you know, the weather gets nice, and somehow that activates me to want to be in a dark hole, chain smoking and gambling. I'm kidding. I really don't want to. I think it will be an interesting experience for everyone. If I go there, live stream it, maybe we do a wrap from there if I can stomach. When I get around the slaves, my energy changes a little bit, right? And then I have to work into that, right? And then I work into a space where I get loud and I'm me again, and I just forget that everyone's looking at me and laughing and or crying or running to get help. And then I get in that flow space till someone taps me on the shoulder. Sure, you got to go, is what usually happens. And I break right out of it. Like, huh? What? Yeah, we don't need you here. We don't want you here. It's like libraries, wherever I go. I could be private room like the other time. You saw I went to a library one day, private room, out of the way. Somehow or another, you know, angry white man walked by and heard what I was saying through the crack and had to come in there and try to cause me problems, right? And basically said indirectly, I don't want you here. He couldn't say that. But he said, oh, yeah, you're good till 12 o'clock. Like they do the passive aggressive thing where they throw something at the end. Oh, yeah, you're good till 12 o'clock. As he walks out. Right. And it's like, bro, that's 20 minutes from now. I saw what you just did there. You're basically saying like 20 minutes from now, you want me gone. And I don't like playing those games. So what I was getting onto before I got off track, I want to go to one of these places and then I want to do like viewer participation. So like if they donate $1, I put in the dollar. Right. And then they get to decide. So we do like a interactive virtual experience, and then the exciting part is if they hit, I'm going to keep half, of course, and I'm going to send them half, right? So I win, and then they win, and if not, we get to have an experience. Now, is that selfish of me to want to get something out of being part of it? I need, because you might have to check me, right? Should everything go? Should the proceeds go all back? Should it be 90%? Like, what's my cut, if any? Is that an exciting experience, and is that devilish? Am I grifting somewhere?
All right, Paul, let me just tell you, let me just give you my quick executive summary on this. Is that I would say that we should do a pilot program first. Let me go out and see if we can ring up a good kitty, you know, close to what that other guy got.
This is why, no, I got to stop you. I can never have fun and do anything because Cuck in Tennessee is now saying I'm all about fiat and money because we know he's poor and broke and angry and miserable. And, you know, again, I'm not really hard up to gamble. I told you, I went to the casino. I don't ever go to those places. You know,
he doesn't understand
the other day I spent $5 there and left because I just feel like I've already won. Why am I gambling at a casino for fiat when I've already won in the game of life? That's foolishness. That would be shitting on the spirit. I just kind of felt it. I said, I knew it. I can't. Cuck in Tennessee, I already can't do anything everyone else does because as soon as I do, the thing reminds me who I am and what I'm doing. Goes, you're going to gamble here for what? 100,000. Well, what's your number here? Because you already won. You're already won or winning at the game of life, and you want more. Fuck not. Go ahead and keep putting it in, right? And the thing's going to shit on me because you can't be unthankful and ungrateful and not realize all that you already have and are. And if you want to gamble with these people and their corporations for another come up, it's a slippery slope, right? Maybe you're walking by at a store somewhere, you put in $100 and then you hit for 50 and go on your way. But if you're going down to the casino and you're chasing something, even the least bit, and you're not aware of everything else, it's, you know, tricking yourself out of position. I'm saying what I thought was interesting about it is I'm not chasing the fiat. I like the interaction idea. I like the idea going Talcott going, hey, put $2 in the slot machine and press this one, right? Or he might say, most people might say, we think Paulie's pretty lucky nowadays. Here's $2, put it in, press whatever you want. Or here's 50, go play a hand of poker, and then I play it out. I think it's an interesting experience, and if I win, you win. If you put up 50 and get 500 and I keep 500, don't you win? Don't I win? Doesn't everyone else win for being part of the experience? So there you go. We can't do anything that requires fiat because as soon as I do, I'm all about the money and fiat, even though I never do. Because you're a fucking miserable, low-life scumbag who projects your sickness onto me with women, with children, with money, with all of it.
Well, Paul, I would say this. Maybe it's just my perspective on it and all, but if we were able to hit, if I were to go in there, let's say, and hit a good jackpot like one of those other streams you showed me that guy did or the video, I would take that. Actually, I'd probably gain some land title and put it in a trust and start this whole concept of what we've been talking about. Wizard wants to come to Florida or something. Hey, get on the land there. We have some here. I mean, it's like, why would I not take money that I didn't have, 50 grand, let's say, and throw it on a piece of land in a trust? So I know it's going to go the way we intend it to go with the trustees and such. It makes so much more sense.
It's a thing about a synchronicity, right? If I'm not chasing the fiat and I'm creating this thing with my audience and we're all manifesting, like they say together, intention, and we're like enjoying the experience and it's not about the money, that's when the thing comes through. That's when I'm doing whatever. And then they go, holy shit, did you just see Paulie just hit whatever? And we were all having a good time anyway and not even worried about it. See? So like, that's what you do it for. It's not for the fucking numbers on the screen. It's to create an experience. When you live like that, you won't have to project your shit onto me. I just told you I'm already winning at the game of life. I don't need to hit the jackpot on a goofy slot machine like all the old people just waiting to die, pressing that button with their life savings. I'm not on it like that by any means. I'm so fucking humble and reverent before this force, I can't even do what you all do without feeling some kind of way. And that's how it's supposed to be. But that's why I'm saying, bro, I don't go to the betting track. I've been there once when I was a child. I'd go back there and look through the program with everybody live on the thing and go, there's a horse named Talcott. I'm betting everything on it. I want to see what happens. And everybody's going to put up a whole bunch of fiat to bet on Talcott. And it's going to have the worst stats in the book and beat everyone somehow. And we're all going to fucking laugh about it and go, can you believe what this thing all is? That's the point. It's not about whacking up what's ever on the table after the fact. That's the extras. This is what you don't get. When you get to a place of power and inspiration at the miracle of creation, the money, the women, the other stuff, that's extras, right? It's not a priority. Like when you're a disempowered chimpanzee slave with no inner inspiration and empowerment.
I remember those days, Paul, being a disempowered chimpanzee with no purpose, no life. Fuck, it was miserable.
Yeah, that's the thing. Why would you bring up you donated to me, cuck in Tennessee? I don't give a fuck, bro. You just said I was all about money and fiat. If I was, I'd suck up to you. I'm not for sale. Talcott's donated to me probably way more than you when he got his little fucking come up. He hit me with a few $100, right? I just kept moving as who and what I am. I'm not for sale, man, and he needs it that way. He knows it and I know it. The only reason he comes back here, that might have been a subconscious test. I think he just wanted to show appreciation, but subconsciously, I want to see what this motherfucker's really about. Let me hit him with a few $100. See if he switches up. When I don't switch up and I just continue who and what I am with the real love, he goes, oh, that's a real one. Right? And he may give me 2,000 now when he fucking hits sometime, and I won't even expect it or ask him for it. That's the difference, stupid motherfucker.
And for a guy that takes donations himself, I've donated to him myself a few times. Nothing great. Doesn't need to be discussed other than that. And that's the way it works. We're supposed to give freely what was freely given. You dumbass.
He goes, mate.
Just had to put that one in there. Ain't heard it.
For the old days. May God, that's there's PC wizard and AC. There's pre-cancer wizard and after cancer, right? So you have to cite, like, I knew wizard PC. right? He wasn't PC back then. He used to call everyone dumbass. AC, he's reformed now for a while, a little bit. We all need an ego checker and tester sometime. I was talking to a guy today, man. Just when you think you got it and when you're winning the game of life, don't expect that a tester and a challenge is not going to come up because you need an ego checker. Motherfucker can't be inspired and empowered without getting his ego checked from time to time. It will be his undoing, right? Power corrupts, absolute power corrupts absolutely. So it's a fine line between being empowered and being corrupted. And you got to watch that. We all do. You know, but as far as this slave down there goes, Mr. Chuck in Tennessee, I really have no bad feeling for you or anybody just because I present a certain way and highlight certain things and present it in a certain way for certain effect does not mean I have hate for you, right? But I'm also not going to like alter who and what I am and what I know to be true and how I present it, especially on a metaverse because you donated to me. No, I told you before I've lost people who donated thousands of dollars a month to me at one point when I didn't have shit. I was in a tent, didn't know who and what the fuck I was going to do and be, and just turned the camera on and started talking. And then people came out of the woodwork from time to time. Go, I'll give you $1,000 or $2,000 a month, right? Just be there for counsel. So I just be there because I would have done that anyway. I told him I'll do it anyway. He goes, no, I'm successful. I want that. Okay. Soon as I say what they don't like, they say, are you going to like take that back or change that? I go, no. And I know what's coming next. They're going to disappear. And there's been a few of those. Right? I'm not altering who and what I am and what I know. It's the reason you've come to me that you respect me because I tell unadulterated truth. If I change that for your money, you won't keep coming to me. You might leave because I do that, but you'll be back someday or you'll respect me. Just like your daddy, you'll sit there and say, I didn't realize it at the time, but Paulie was on to something, right? And if he wasn't, he still spoke his truth and stood on that. That's respectable. You acted like a little hoe and withdrew your contribution that I didn't ask for, that you knew you should put up out of equity. Right. So if you want equity, come with it. If you respect somebody for their authenticity, be thankful and grateful for it. Don't fucking spin on somebody when they tell you the truth as they see it and you don't like it. If it's not true, move forward. If it is true, don't worry about if you like it or not. Worry about changing it. This is pretty simple. Simply said, harder to be done when you start talking wife and children and all the rest of it. Fuck everybody's mind and heart and ego up. What's common sense and obvious.
Hey, brother, what you said about needing that ego check, they're fucking chirp. Brother, that was me. I was trapped in my comfort zone, in my own mental prison of habits. And I got some serious fucking ego checks. And it was exactly what I needed. But the ego checks we actually end up doing, it's just negotiation with ourselves. We'll get faced with facts or someone else who's going to trigger us and bring some shit to light that we don't like. And eventually you just got to negotiate with yourself and find peace. But
this is why if you really had a radical therapy, what you would do is you wouldn't set up cupcake parties, you'd set up trigger parties. And you'd sit and go around the room and say everything that you really think and feel or what you think would trigger me because I want to find out where I need to work and grow. They don't do that. We don't do that. As soon as I bring up something about Talcott or anyone else, I'm not picking on them, that like really gets down to it, something that hurt them in the past, makes them a little bit insecure and afraid, that fucking shoulder starts getting itchy. I watch them. That shoulder gets itchy, man. Then that arm comes up. And then the next thing you know, I go, I'm out of here. I know it. I feel it every time. He feels it. I feel it. I just move forward in truth. He needs it as I see it. Call it my ego if you want. But I see the shoulder get itchy. I see the arm come up. I go, within 5 minutes or less, I'm out of here. And I'm going to sit in the back and wait and come back and continue to talk truth. That's true love. Right? So I let you do the hit on me every single time. Right? I don't mind. I don't take it personal because it's your trigger. It's not mine. If I was saying something that was untrue, it wouldn't trigger you, right? If it is true and it triggers you, you got to look at it. It's happening right now. I see it on your face. You don't want to look at those certain things in your life that represent the rawest form of insecurity, and none of us do. But that is where the growth, and don't you shake your head rapidly like that at me. He's going to shake his head so hard, his head's going to pop off his shoulder. right? You can shake your head as hard as you want. It ain't going to change that you're being more triggered because now you're shaking your head like this. I just said you were getting triggered and then you started popping your head off your shoulders to prove me wrong.
No, I'm not triggered, man. And hey, part of what you said is true. Hey, Nubs, how you doing, brother? There's a trigger for me. That guy.
Whoa!
I heard you had a trigger
That
coming
face will
up.
get it
So
going for anybody.
Well, there's been several, but I'm growing to rest into the possibilities. Okay, the future will reveal if Jack is right or not, but I think it's possible that I'm just like, well, Paul, I'm just like you. Very observant, very discerning, right? And the scripture says we're images of God, and people treat me like God. And I actually think each of us do that to each other. And I can explain this stuff so it makes sense. But these are conclusions I've been thinking about.
please
Is
do.
that
Jack, you want to try it right now? Let's not do this, okay? And don't ask for it if you're not going to take it. And be loving during and after if you're able to. You want to do trigger session right now? Whatever they want to say, and
I didn't even come up. I just heard there was a trigger needed.
I will sit here and smile, and if I'm triggered, I will recognize there's some truth in it, and I'll move forward. Right? That's valuable. That's powerful. They don't do that.
The future can only be what you accomplish now. You can't wait for the future to become something. You have to accomplish something now in order for the future to be something different. There's only now, in my opinion,
brother. I actually live in the future in my mind, and
I see that,
and in my state of being. So my actions right now are steps towards the future that I intend and that I've imagined.
Go ahead, Talcott. Start on me right now. Tell me I live in a fucking trailer. I'm fat. I have yellow teeth, like they say.
No, you, Paul, here.
I have a small penis. What else? I'm poor and broke.
Paul.
I'm going.
I see the here's.
No, go ahead right now. Just go ahead.
You overlook the good.
If you don't fucking try to trigger me right now, I'm gonna get triggered.
Paul, I don't know how, because number one, I won't insult you. You do that to yourself far enough. Okay. And others do that to you as well. So there's a fine line to reach you between inflating your ego and crushing your ego, right? I don't think your ego can be crushed. That's the thing. You've got the biggest, fucking strongest, most dominating force that I've encountered, I think.
Yeah, it's not ego. That's the thing.
Well, there's a character, there's a persona still that is covering up. Yes, there is.
What is it covering up, Talcott? Go ahead.
It's covering up the Christ at heart, the generous, the humble, the patient.
Right.
It's covering up that child that needs a hug. You need to.
You want to hug me, Talcott, right now? Metaverse. Get over here, you little jerk. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, I just grabbed your ass, Talcott. You weren't expecting that. You went to hug me. I grabbed your ass metaversely. You even see that?
I felt it.
Oh my God. Insanely creepy. Yeah, I don't think that I do too great of a job of covering that thing up that you talk about. It just, works in tandem. It's complementary. It's like aspects of self. I have that aspect of self, the inner child, but I don't act like a child in certain venues. When there's a time and place for that, I let that express in a way. Right? So,
I'd like to offer something like what you do. You were raised, as I understand, mom wasn't in the picture and dad
No, she was in the picture, just drunk all the time and call the police on me and not pay any attention to me and not do anything with me. So almost worse than being out of the picture.
Almost worse. Okay. So you had to rise and figure out how to become your own parent at a very young age. And you learned through not the best examples, but you're smart enough to learn the inversion. And what I don't know that you've had the experience of is like the real loving, gentle, kind, compassionate role model, friend, whatever. That's my guess.
You know, I have that. It's like a mama. Like everybody needs a daddy. Well, maybe I need a mama. So like Jennifer's my mama. Sometimes, like I got mamas out here, you know, and they like rub my back. I lay there like a little baby, and I go, "Oh, that feels good," you know.
Hey,
that's fine.
That.
There's a time and place for that. Not with you. You're not going to rub my back and lay in bed with me and cuddle up and get me. I don't need to show that to you, nor would anyone else want to really see that.
Don't even want to hear it.
Right. He didn't even want to hear me about getting my back rubbed and, you know, looking like a big baby, big man baby.
Hey, that is honestly, I encourage everyone, not just you, Paul, but everyone. Enjoy that child that likes having the back rubbed and likes playing, likes enjoying life as often as you can, because this world, man, it'll drive us fucking nuts.
Oh, I did. I was constantly asking Jennifer to rub my back and act like a big man baby.
Good.
Yeah, you got to stay away from the knees and the inner thighs, though.
And that's the thing, right? I'm too overweight to really rub any part of my own back. So, you know, maybe there's a service like, or I could, that's why people on the land, like there might be certain women who we don't even have sex. I just ask them to rub my back and they enjoy making me feel good. So they rub my back like a big man baby. I will open up and show that part of myself to certain women who I think are trustworthy and respectable and honorable and aren't going to like use and abuse me. You know,
so that I was going to say that brought back a memory when I was in boot camp. I think it was probably our first night there. The company commander was asking you stupid questions. He asked, "What's the dirtiest part of your body?" He asked us that question, right? We were all sitting at our bunks. We just got off the bus, so to speak. And, you know, people answer different, you know, your asshole, your feet, whatever. And he said, no. He says, your back. You never wash your back. He says, when you're in the shower, get your buddy to wash your back. And that freaked me out. And I never forgot that, man. And I never asked anybody to wash my back.
Yeah, that's something else. That's some Talcott shit, right? Where, like, if you let him, you say, hey, brother, you look like you haven't got back there in a while. Right?
That's no shit. That's a true story.
Hey,
yeah, I'm not. Listen, you know,
No.
Listen. When it comes to a woman, that's why I say I think we're supposed to entertain each other a little bit differently. You know, when it comes to a woman, I'll wash her down, rub her feet, bathe her, do all types of things. We'll bathe together, right? If she wants to look at that, me completely naked, wet, you know, like a fucking, you know, sea animal, that's fine. You know, I'm just saying, like, I entertain in different venues with different beings in different ways. That's how that works. So, like, and that just works for me, right? So, like, this feels good to me to present the way I guess I normally do, whatever that is on here. And then I have a little bit of a different presentment with different people, different places, and different venues. The truth doesn't change, right? There just may be certain things that are talked about more and other things that are talked about less, but I'm not really hiding. Right? I'm not obfuscating. I'm just presenting in a certain venue for effect. So, you know, I mean, and then I expand that, like Paul Unslaved. What is that? Well, it goes to like plants and herbs too, right? Like if this is a character, whatever that is, like what is real, man? When does the character become the being and the being become the character? That's part of being an artist that no one gets the psychology of. They go, I'm an artist. This is a character. No, you're expanding who and what you are and playing with aspects of self. You know? So, yeah, it's plants and herbs. You know, it's the animals. It's women and children. So it's all things, right? how is unslaved come about? The same way that God would see it, right? It's all bondage and attachment has to be freed up. Reconciliation, repentance, reformation, and then co-creation. That is enslavement, because the opposite is enslavement. And we see how that works. Toxified relationships, toxified environment, toxified inner space.
Hey, Paul, I want to encourage you with one thing you said about you can't reach. Brother, don't sell yourself short. Don't put off rubbing your back because someone else isn't there. Find a way. You can reach it. And my neighbors see me out. There's a brick on my garage, kind of sticks out a little bit. They'll see me out there digging into my back with the brick on the house, man. I don't care.
Talcott, like they usually call a bear, like that's like there's two meanings for bear. There's the like woodlands bear, and then there's hairy gay men from San Francisco they call bears, right? So Talcott's like now looking like both. The neighbors are like, Talcott's out there again. He's nude and he's rubbing his back on our tree. Right? Like, what the fuck? And then they can't help but to somehow love Talcott, even though he's insane. They're like, well, that's Talcott. You know, every morning he gets up, you know, in his little Speedo and rubs his back against our fence. You know, I mean, I guess he's not causing any harm. And then they yell out, Talcott, are you going to replace one of those panels if you break it? And he says, yeah. And they go, all right. You know, and they move on. I guess this is what makes life fun, right? To some people. I guess to the other guy, Talcott's the worst enemy. They hate Talcott. Like, you motherfucker, you're way too happy right now rubbing up against that fence like a crazy person. Get back in the house and be miserable like everyone else.
Dude, I don't even do that. My neighbors are totally confused about me. Holy shit.
Talcott's urinating and defecating on the lawn. Like, what the fuck is he? I'm re-exploring my primal aspects, man. Talcott, this is San Diego. We don't do that here. Actually, we do. We do it on the sidewalk, not on the lawn. Sorry. Yeah. And like we now like lapsed into a mandala effect where we do move our bowels and urinate in public, but we do it on the sidewalk, not on the lawn.
Oh my God. I saw a dude today. He looked like he was homeless, carrying like a whole bunch of stuff on his back, and he was walking in the gutter instead of the sidewalk. And I was thinking that might represent his state of mind right now. I don't know. I don't know why that came up. Hey, you said something different though about enjoying it too, Paul. And that was actually the thought I was trying to convince myself of earlier today. I can't believe that this is real anymore. Seriously, this is my life.
What does that even mean? Talcott, what does that even mean? That's extreme depersonalization. Go hit your head against the wall right there. That's real enough, ain't it? The consequences are real enough.
It's just be the feelings, and then the feelings would fade, and then it's just a memory, and then it's like, is it real? Who fucking knows?
But this is the thing. You can't talk living in the now if you just went past and future. Because if you hit your head on that wall and I say stay in the now, you're going to go, ow! I go, right. You see the now and the cause and effect and consequence. It's real enough.
Well,
maybe that's your problem. You're like a dog almost. Even the dog remembers what happened yesterday.
I know enough.
That's insanity, right? You don't remember what it's like to hit your head on the wall. So you keep doing it over and over again and you go, ow, in the now. But then a couple of moments pass and you go, you know what? That wall's looking quite inviting.
Yeah, but you just disconnect the nerves that sense that ow, there's no longer an ow.
You're depersonalized. You're not seeing the cause and effect and the consequences directly for your choices. In the now, not anywhere else.
There is a way to divert your focus and consciousness away from the pain. But Paul, believe it or not, I know enough not to bash my head into a wall. And I know not to go rub on the neighbor's fences or the trees.
For now.
For now. Although you planted some ideas, man, in my mind.
It's a slippery slope to being imaginative and easily led. Right? Talcott might be now, after today, rubbing on the neighbor's fence because I planted a seed, right? The same person who told you to go to the UN and you've never let go.
Well, I convinced myself to believe a lot of things in the past and even today, but this is the thing. I can't believe this is my life. I'm committed to making this succeed, whatever this might
Could you
be.
imagine? Hold on, I gotta get this out. I don't know if anyone enjoys this, but Talcott as a cartoon as a bear, right? With that voice. And then it's a bear that lives around humans. And no one quite understands how this is happening, but the bear walks on two legs. It does everything else. It's got an outfit, but then it comes out of its outfit and starts rubbing up against the neighbor's fence. And it's like, oh, and now I have this whole scene in my head of Talcott as like a Yogi Bear kind of cartoon living amongst humans. And no one ever asks, how did the bear get with the humans? How do they all not ask the question? But it's an allegory, right? Because Talcott is like, he's not accepted.
He's smarter than the average bear.
Yeah, he is. He's smarter than the average bear, but he's not accepted. Like, he's like a non-human, but more human than the humans. Because then you have little scenes where they question the bear, and then the bear gives you something that almost makes sense. And you go, wow, that bear is pretty profound in a bearly way. You know what I mean? So he's like, hey man, I'm just enjoying my life, rubbing up against this fence. And you're like, the bear's onto something. We don't know why it's here, and maybe it should leave, but every time we go to interact with it, we kind of love it more.
You know what? That makes a good definer distinction, Jack, what he just described there, as even in a show, because the storyline, the theme, really delineates the difference between being childlike and childish. You know, when you're childlike, you have that other perspective that other people overlook. But when you're childish, you're petulant, you're frustrated, you're always throwing tantrums, banging your head in the wall over and over. So, yeah, I like that idea a lot, Paul.
Yeah, boo-boo. Check out this Talcott. He's rubbing up on our picnic table. What are we going to do about it?
And also, another thing is do you ever listen to yourself speak, Jack? You say the word believe so much, but you rarely say the word no.
And that's why I tell you, Talcott,
Here,
the belief is the enemy of knowing.
hold on.
And that's what I was so great that you brought up in that video yesterday with that cop interaction when you just delineated the difference between believing and not having a knowing.
And I was already on the way out, bro. This is what they don't get.
Yeah.
Motherfuckers get arrested and start crying. I got the guy on his back heels, and I don't stop in a loving way. I go, sir, this is bugging me. That's how he knows. That's how he knows you're the realest motherfucker walking. That's why he wants to go have coffee. He goes, I'm about to let this guy go, and he don't stop, and he's not being belligerent either. I said, this is bugging me. It's not a belief. It's a knowing. You're doing belief, and it's not true. Can we get that straight, bro? For you, not me, because I'm the one with the knowing. You're the one caught up in beliefs. I'm giving you the opportunity to be freed. You ain't giving me the opportunity to get locked up. I already took that. I'm waiting on it. Now comes your turn. You got an opportunity to be let go.
Actions speak louder than
really
words,
want
folks.
it.
Actions speak louder than words, folks. And what he did was bring equity by redemption. He redeemed the officer through his thoughts and beliefs by allowing him to see the truth. That's it. That's why I clarify the truth right from the start as well. There is a very distinct difference between believing and knowing, as both Paul and I have been.
Then he said, when you study this shit, this is how really good investigators get everybody with psychology. He said, well, okay, but we may not get to an agreement on the facts and truth. I'll settle on that because I could read beyond what you just said between the lines. That's your ego. So you're telling me right now on camera in front of the world, we ain't going to have an agreement. It's not possible because it can't be. But you know in your fucking mind and heart everything I'm saying is true and that this is one truth. That's why you want to have coffee with me. It's why you speak in a tone that promotes respect. Right? Deference. You could hear it all in their tone, right? I was the man to him in that moment, right? I was amazing him with who I was and how I was presenting in my energy and what I knew and the way that I gave it to them, right? So you be the change and you get the influence and the effect. And they'll even tell you without telling you, we're never going to come to an agreement. Yeah, I know why. But I know and you know what I just said was true, and that's why I'm leaving here today, because you got to care in your heart. And I even told them that. I said, I can see and feel your care. I also see your manipulation games. That's why every time you ask me a certain question, I don't answer. And then you want to feign like you want me to describe it to you. I'll describe how it works, but you're not going to trip me up and get me to talk about what I do. See, I'm an expert at this shit, and I learned in interrogation rooms, sitting there for 6-8 hours, something somebody else did that they wanted me to rat on, and I had to just keep telling the same story over and over again and watch how they would ask me the same question in different ways and expect me to trip up, and sometimes they may even get me a couple times till I realize how this game all works, especially when I've gone and studied various disciplines of psychology and sociology and anthropology. I see the game. Right. So I now employ all the tools they tried to employ on me to get down to a truth and understanding, whether I wanted to tell it or not. Doesn't matter, like a lie detector test. Doesn't matter if you want to tell me the truth or not. We're going to get down to true enough one way here today. Right. So that is the biggest power in the world, because, again, your masters need that. Right. They either have that or need that. You know, I mean, shit, if you don't want to do what's true and what's right, you could always you might argue this is true and it's right. Specialized. You could go get a job with the serial killer division and the murder division. I could in 3 seconds, and I might do it one day if I take the paperwork and fill it out, and they'll say, Paulie's our best investigator because he's like tapped into something and he gets flashes of visions, and then he goes to talking to people and he like knows within 20 minutes, this guy's full of shit. I just don't know where. And if you give me another 20, I'm going to figure it out. You give me another 20 days, I'll definitely have them. Right? So I get to fucking talk to a motherfucker for like 28 days before they get released. Oh, I'm on your ass. I show up at your cell and you did something with the background I lived, you're done. You're fucking done. You lie in the least bit, I'm going to know it. I'm going to pinpoint. I'm going to say, why'd you lie about that? Why'd you lie about that? I know you're lying. Why are you lying about that? That makes me very confused. Right. And then I bring in another guy like they do. Right. He goes at it a different way. I come back in. I watch him when he's with the other guy. See, you don't know when that guy comes in. The other guy, see, one of them's really good. The other one's learning from him. So that guy goes out and watches you with that guy. If they're both really good, you're definitely fucked. Because while one's in, the other one's watching. While you're in, the other one's watching. Now I got a third party view. So I'm removed. So now my guy goes in who's like me, and I watch you on camera. Now I really got you because I'm reading your body language even more. I'm so dialed in. I'm listening to the responses and the tone. So, you know, I believe that folks who kill should be brought to justice on some level. I just don't know if it's my job or if it's God's job ultimately, or if I'm supposed to facilitate and work with that to make that happen. But I would suppose if a motherfucker killed my mother or father, I would want to know who it was and what the reason was at least. And I'd want to be able to at least look them in the eye and have a conversation. So I'm not really with putting somebody away forever over
If it
pretty
was
much.
a child, I don't know if I'd be able to stop myself, Paul.
I'm telling you that the way my heart feels is like we can't play that game, right? Like the scripture says, you sin the least, you sin the most, right? Of the least of you is of the most of you, right? So you're going to draw a line between lying, cheating, stealing, murder, and whatever. I mean, we could play that game, but it's all wrongdoing. So I get it, you know, as a creature, when you see harm done to the most defenseless, it triggers something.
But that's a reaction. It's not a thought through thing.
Right, but this is the differentiation. If you get in the room with these people, it should become apparent to you quite clear. This is a sick person. The person is not malicious in their intent. They're not knowing what's right and wrong and then just doing evil. Those are the people who try to play games and want to do wrong and get away with it, that you want to put hands on them to teach them a lesson. You get in a room with somebody and they're like, don't know what planet they're on, hate themselves, don't go nowhere, don't do nothing, don't have nothing or no one. You go, I almost feel bad for this motherfucker, even though he just killed my relative. I see why it happened. Nobody's ever loved him and shown him care and understanding and wisdom, or his fucking equipment has been altered beyond repair for some reason or some experience.
And can I interject here real quick? We have Ego Checker down in the chat if you want to drop the link So you
I
might
thought
want
I've been dropping links, man. What's wrong with me where I feel like I'm dropping links every 20 minutes and nobody's coming up?
Anyway, I just wanted to welcome Ego Checker. We did see on the Chili de Castro thing yesterday with Paul and everything, and it was great to find another brother that's along the same path. So I know I would certainly enjoy you come up.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I mean, I could comment on de Castro. You know, I think there's some areas that he needs to work on himself and his understanding and his principle. But beyond that, there's certain moments in there. If you're good at reading me, you'll know what I'm thinking and feeling that I might not have said. I guess not everything needs to be said in every venue, but the way that I live is the way I live. I do it for me. I think all folks should live that way to some degree for them if they see the value. So, it's not hard when you're living this way on some level to look at others and say, I know what he's thinking and feeling right there, because that's not the way he does things, right? So I'm not going to necessarily get down on him or Brian Young or any of them. It's pretty clear to see the differences in who and what we all are, and then that's when folks will say, yeah, they're civilized, sophisticated, intelligent folks who are clean and articulate and all the rest of it, like they talked about Obama, right? But ultimately, beyond the abrasiveness and the juxtaposition and presentments, and even de Castro, he's almost a little more abrasive. This is where nobody ever figures out who I am, because I don't really go to calling police pigs. If I do, it's for effect in the moment. It's not hate in my heart, because I will transition right back into these are men and women in uniform who are broken and they need us to set the tone and the example. So I don't do the one side. I don't suck up and I don't fucking hate. And that's all I see with folks who cycle through these places and everywhere is they're either sucking dick in public to get somewhere or they're hating because they can't get somewhere. Right? And very few are just calling it straight. And when they lapse into calling it straight and being real on one side or the other, everyone comes around against them and they get scared and go back to that fake shit. Right? So I think I've even spoke on it because yesterday I alluded to it, but I already spoke on it the other day because every once in a while I get in that mood and I say, fuck it. I'm burning it down. I don't give a fuck. Because when I reach out to people, I text them, I message them, and I say, hey, bro, let's do something together. And you'll get back to me after on the back of you told me you didn't like what I did and that it made your people nervous, your audience. I don't give a fuck because now your shit's gone, bro. 500,000 people gone. See that ego checker? You just don't get it. You don't get it. I don't mean to be mean and I don't mean to just out people and air shit out, but I told you, bro, you all think you're in an egoic position of power and control because of what you think you have, subscribers, all that. You go against me or turn away from me because I speak too much truth and it scares you with what you think you have. That shit goes right the fuck away. That's how the universe works. Goes right away. Paulie's sitting there with his 1.6 still, doing his numbers daily on different levels, bringing the value himself, not having to go to everywhere else in the world to get content and value. And he don't run from the truth. He ain't starting none, but he ain't running from none either. Right? So I keep it all the way real, and that scares the shit out of them. And then they go to holding on tight to the shit they think they have and rebuking me or turning away from me. They don't rebuke me. They just don't deal with me. Then the universe says, take that motherfucker shit right now. Unthankful, ungrateful, you think you're somebody, think you're going somewhere, want to push a whole bunch of products, and then turn away from him. The best thing you got on the ground in the street doing what you ain't. Oh, you got this fucked up.
So
you got this metaverse ego bullshit all fucked up.
It was his decision not to follow up with you, Paul?
Bro, I told you at a certain point, and it was around the Zach Hubbard time because he's big in this community for everybody. Truthers, legal lawful, number counters, they all know him. Well, when I went and told Brian, I didn't know Brian had issues with him. Brian said, Zach Hubbard, he's been fucking with me for years, but he's two different people. So he's a certain way in private and a certain way in public. Well, I air everybody out who's like that. I didn't even know he was like that because I aired him out just for feeling his energy and knowing he was full of shit when I saw him. So if you go back onto my shit, when I aired that dude out, who was a top truth movement guy with hundreds of thousands of subscribers, who's making 40 G's a month, They said, Paul, he's crazy. He's crazy. That dude came to me. He was going to put me in position. He was going to have me talking up front for his shit, making all the money, getting the attention and validation, access to whole other communities. You don't think I could have played every one of these people for my own benefit against the audience? No, I didn't do that. I stayed real to who and what I am. So you come before me, I see who and what you are. You want to use me because of my silver and gold tongue. You think you want to use me. This is about my heart. I speak from my heart. But they see my silver and gold tongue. We want to use that. Paul, you want to come speak at our event? And then when he came up, I knew he was somebody. I didn't even know who he was, but I knew he was somebody. And then at the end, I said, I knew who that was. I didn't really know who it was technically. I knew who it was energetically and by the responses of everyone around me. Because when that dude came up, everyone was like, whoa, hey. And when you hear like 6 guys do that, you know it's somebody to them. I didn't even ask. I was like, what do you want, bro? He's like, hey, will you come out to my event? We've been doing this, blah, blah, blah. I knew he wanted to use me because I could tell by the way he was speaking and just a few other things. You have to go back and watch it. I asked him a couple things. He answered. He went to looking and stargazing and getting quiet. I knew he was full of shit, and I called him on it. And then he came out with everything he thought about me. He showed himself. I didn't change. I'm the same yesterday, today, and tomorrow, essentially, like the Christ of being said, with little changes here and there. But who and what I am in this presentment and what I've been speaking on really hasn't changed much, right? So this dude came up. I didn't change who and what I was. He fucking freaked out and ran, and now he's been playing both sides ever since. But ever since I did that and that interaction went up and then Brian took it and put it on his channel and showed 500,000 people me doing that, most of them said, Brian, this ain't like you. Why you got this fucking gorilla up here shitting on Zach Hubbard like this? And then Brian goes, forget about the gorilla. You didn't just see what he just said and how he acted and how he never acts like that because he's a fake. And they didn't care. They didn't care. That all I'm there to do is expose the truth like they always do. They ignore that and say, look at the gorilla and how he presents. Forget about Zach Hubbard and how he fleeced the whole community, went and bought a second house. And then I watched the video where he told everybody. I watched 3 videos of his. The second one I tuned in on, he was in the car. He did a 20-minute video. He said, I can't make no more content this month because I got to go buy a second house. I said, you punk-ass bitch. You don't live for this shit. You make 20-minute videos, 2-hour videos once a week, and you can't even do that because you got to go buy a second house off the back of motherfuckers you grifted on? Wow, you're pathetic and embarrassing. And it just doesn't matter to them because they're at a point where they think they got everything they need and nobody's going to see through it. And if they do see through it, they ain't going to take their power base. So who gives a fuck? They just don't care, right? So they'll play both sides, get to whatever they want and need. Show themselves along the way. And most of the audience on all these channels where you see 500,000, these folks are mind and heart control one way or the other. So they're going to focus on exactly what they're supposed to focus on to get us away from the most important truth and then make everybody be divided. Because he should have stood with me and said, Paulie's the truth. He's real. He's on the ground. He's doing shit we're just talking about and commenting on. Brian Young don't travel without license plates, registration, and whatever, and I ain't down on him. And you know what? I was going to say I'm not even going to say it because I'm not trying to hurt anybody's feelings. But I've talked about stories. I'll do the thing like Clausen, right? And I'll piss people off without talking directly, right? Like you all do, all the fake shit. Because I like to just talk real with you about women and children and all that, what I've experienced. I'm sorry, Talcott, I'm on a ramble today.
He
but
said he's going to do a stream that if you want to join, you're invited. That's why he's leaving.
Okay, I'll go over there at some point. But yeah, man, they just don't get. They just don't get why shit gets taken. The women and children leave them. The channels get taken. The respect and the credibility and integrity is never there. So it gets taken because it never was really there. And you just wind up one day somewhere, regardless of what you have, really being like anxious and depressed and unfulfilled. Because you like can't forget about the time that you turned away from me and the truth and everything else because you got scared. Just like it doesn't matter what you get to when you go run a business. If you ratted on your best buddy over some shit you knew was wrong to save your own ass,